Carla and Damon here from Brrraaains A Head-Banging Life, gbhblofficial.com for short, and it is tier list time. Tier ranking, as we're touching upon our subject, we have touched upon a lot over the last year. It is, of course, Resident Evil, as we are going to be doing a tier list ranking of all the major game characters within Resident Evil. So from the very first game to Resident Evil Village, the sort of characters that stood out, be the main heroes you play as, be the main villains. Only really the major ones. I have omitted a few that I just could not be bothered with because they're side characters and stuff like that, or they're just not that important. Because there are a lot, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But not as many as you think. Because obviously Resident Evil reutilizes characters. So, like, you choose a character like Leon. Well, he's covering 1, 2, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, Resident Evil 6 Resident Evil Remake, all this sort of stuff. So, like, there's a lot of reusing characters. Jill, how many times does she pop up in it? Chris.
Yep.
You see what I mean? So, elements like that. But we have always got 5 categories to put them in. The best, e.g. the character that we think, yeah, man, they're like, as a character, how they're written, how they perform in the game, how you feel about them, the top of the ranking. Then we've got great, so a little bit below that. Good, sitting squarely in the middle. Yeah, they're fine. Don't really worry too much about them, things like that. Meh, e.g. forgettable. Meh's basically forgettable.
Yeah.
Oh, them. Yeah, they win the game. And the worst, which is a character you just like, they fucking suck. We are going to rank this not so much on the gameplay aspects. So, like, for example, when it comes to like an AI partner, e.g. Sheva, it's not fair to rank Sheva on how the AI controls her. Her character, though, is she interesting? Is she good to be around? Did you like her? Did you enjoy her? That sort of aspect works better, I think, than anything else. So, let's get started. And we begin, basically, going alphabetically, with Ada. Ada Wong. This is the character that first appears in Resident Evil 2 officially, but is referenced slightly in Resident Evil the original, being that she is she's the girlfriend of a researcher called John, and his password in Resident Evil. It still makes me laugh that in Resident Evil that password is 3 letters long. Like, imagine doing that password today in modern day. I'm pretty sure that'd come up as like, no, you can't have that. Numbers, please.
It's weak,
weak. Obviously, Resident Evil 2, she appears, and spoilers, she turns out to be a double agent by the end of the game, seemingly dying, but as later games would reveal, not dying.
If it's spoilers, man, seriously, you haven't lived. You're literally, where have you been?
Yeah, imagine that. Imagine you're sitting around that going, oh my god, I can't believe they just spoiled the end of Resident Evil 2. You know, the game that came out in like 1998. She would then make a reappearance in Resident Evil 4 as quite a significant part in that game. And that's where she kind of changed a bit. She was a bit more of a sexy agent, tougher, you know, the whole red dress aspect and things like that. I'm trying to think where next she appeared. Was it Resident Evil 6? It was Resident Evil 6, wasn't it?
It was 6, yeah.
And of course she gets her own chapter in that in regards to cloning and stuff like that. A chapter that I found to be... When I got to the Ada chapter, I'd already gone through obviously all the others. And I was so Resident Evil 6 out, more action and that zip wire thingy, I was just not interested. But Ada, yeah, so here's the thing. My feelings for Ada lean more towards nostalgia.
Yeah.
When I think of Resident Evil 2, more than anything else.
Yeah, I mean, I like her story. I think her story's pretty interesting, you know, about why she's doing what she's doing. But character-wise, for me, it's like I said, it's nostalgia.
Yeah, and well, here's the thing. What's her goal really? Like at Resident Evil 2, it seems pretty straightforward. But by Resident Evil 4, she's like, I'll help Leon, but I'm actually working with this person. But I'm working with this person. Oh no, I'm secretly working with this person. That shit is baffling.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the goal is. What's the goal? To bring down Umbrella? To help them? I don't know.
It seems to change, at least from its early sort of goal kind of thing. So we got to start off somewhere. Where do you want to put her? Should we just stick her in the middle? Good?
Yeah.
She's fine?
Yeah, she's fine,
Yeah, okay. So Ada goes in good. Up next, Barry, who made sporadic appearances throughout the series. Resident Evil, obviously a major character, and then didn't really reappear to Resident Evil Revelations 2, which you haven't played.
No,
but he's one of the characters in that alongside Claire, including his daughter being introduced into that story. So for Barry, I think the biggest focus, because Resident Evil Revelations 2 is quite forgettable. Like when I think of Revelations, that little series, I think of the first one, and I really enjoyed that. Whereas Revelations 2, I liked, I didn't love. So we really got to discuss the first game, and obviously it's Barry.
I mean, again, I like his character.
Yep.
I like his story. But he's very forgettable.
Oh, is he?
Well, I mean,
forgettable
as an appearance-wise throughout the series.
Yeah, of course.
I mean,
I wonder why they never really had him in it more.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, maybe he took a sidestep, because his kids and obviously being threatened. Maybe decided to put family first. I don't know.
Are you quoting a book here? Are you talking about? I can hear him already.
Okay. I like Barry a lot because of a book, yes. Yes, because of Kevin Coe, because he features that quite a lot in that book.
Okay, but you've got to dismiss all of that. You can't include the book stuff because we're doing the games only. Just like we can't include the films.
Well, Barry's in the films, yeah.
Yeah, so exactly. So we've got that aspect of things as well. But I think like his role in the original Resident Evil, he's involved in like so much of it, whether it be Jill along the way and obviously parts of Chris as well. I think as well, like the fact that he has that spoilers twist ending, like double turn, is really, really interesting. For me, I think the fact that he's only appeared in one game, really, not including Revelations, one game, the original Resident Evil, doesn't that like, and he stands out, like he's iconic, right?
I would say probably great.
Great?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel great as well. Okay, this might be a controversial one, because he's a major character for one game only. It is Resident Evil 0, Billy Cohen. I want to put him in meh. The reason why I want to put him in meh is because the guy's story is fucking lazy ass shit. A wrongly convicted con, who disobeyed orders and then got arrested and stuff like that, but speaks like this because I'm so cool. They have him rolling around with a wife beater and with a horrible tribal tattoo all up his arm, with one handcuff on and off as well, like as if he's got to look like a badass and stuff like that.
He's very forgettable too.
He really is. And then he just is never seen again in the games. And I know that Resident Evil 0 gives you a reason as to why, but let's be honest, like, could he not have reappeared in later games as a sort of thing?
Could have done. Maybe again, they thought the same, that it was a disappointing character.
He's just there.
Yeah.
He doesn't. When I think of Resident Evil 0, I think of Rebecca and her part. I think of more of the silly parts. The slow motion dive across the train when he shoots the slug man.
Whatever that is. Yeah.
So for me, meh.
Yep.
Not quite the worst. I don't know if there'll be many in the worst, but definitely there. Brad Vickers. So Brad is more remembered for Resident Evil 3 than anything else. Of course, he is the pilot. He's the pilot, isn't he?
He's the pilot.
He's the pilot in Resident Evil original that flies off and leaves his teammates behind, but doesn't actually head home. He kind of flies around trying to contact them until he eventually rescues you at the end of the game. But in Resident Evil 3, he has a much more prominent role as a victim of the Nemesis. Whereas the remake would enhance that role, including having turned into a zombie in a much stronger scene, I think. He's referenced, and this is from not the novel, but this is referenced from the game manual, and then I picked up on, I think, in the novels as well, so I can reference it, is the fact that he's got a nickname called Chicken Heart.
Yeah.
Which is basically because he's a little bit of a coward, which doesn't exactly endear you to him.
Yeah, I mean, I always wondered if that's because he flew away in the first one.
I guess so, right?
But then, in my opinion, he done the right thing, because if he had stayed there, the chopper would have been destroyed.
Would it?
Well, I mean...
Could they not have gathered around the chopper, defending themselves and got on?
Could have done. I mean, obviously, they all ran off towards the woods. Because obviously, he stayed in the chopper. They went out. They went on a search party in the grid. So, obviously, for me, I actually think he done the right thing. He flew off. He stayed in the air. He went back... I think he went back to Redfield, didn't he, at one point?
Did he go refuel? No, I think because he's talking about running out of fuel throughout the game.
I might be wrong, but he stayed in the area. So surely a coward would have went bollocks to this and just left. Yeah, but he stayed in the area. He come back. He drops you the rocket launcher at the end.
True, so, that's an important part. Yeah. That can't be overlooked. Yeah, spoiler. Yeah, I thought you would have wanted to put him to work because you've always had a hatred for him.
I mean. He's not really a big character. I mean, he's one of those characters. I mean, he's one of those characters which
he is. You're right.
You hear about, and obviously, if you played the original Resident Evil 3, he dies instantly. He runs through, screams Jill, and then gets killed
by the Nemesis.
Face,
yeah.
You know,
The remake does a little more with him, but he's still a victim
Yeah.
quite quickly. What do you reckon then? Do you want to put him in meh?
Yeah, Meh. He goes above Billy.
Or should he go in good, because he does give you the rocket launch? He's part of the ending of Resident Evil.
I suppose he's the one who saves you. So.
What about good, but after Ada? Because
Yeah,
Ada's
yeah,
way
yeah,
more
yeah,
important. Like her role in Resident Evil 4 alone puts her there. Carlos Oliviero. I've used the Resident Evil 3 remake picture for this. Carlos in the original Resident Evil 3 I thought was crap.
Yep.
But I thought the remake did a really, really strong job of him. I do admit he's a little bit too perfect in the remake, a little bit too like, oh, he's such a nice guy, or that kind of thing, a good person, that kind of thing. But I liked him in the remake. I did like him. He is one I actually struggle to distance myself from the movie.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's what I'm doing now, because I think like, he goes in their best, because in the movie, the guy who plays him is brilliant, plays it really well.
Whoa.
Well,
in Apocalypse, he's fucking awful.
Yeah, sorry.
In Extinction, he's good.
In Extinction, yeah. He plays who I think Carlos would be.
Yeah, quite, yeah. Which kind of matches up to Resident Evil 3, because Resident Evil 3 is quite heroic in that sense as well. But I do like him. Like, I do like the fact that as this little unit, like, he's the kind of good one in it. But he's not the only good one. I think that's really interesting. Yeah. Like, I think that's quite good as well. But ultimately, again, he's a one-game character.
That's it.
So...
I mean, character-wise,
good again?
If you stand out and say the word Carlos,
Oliviero.
Most people will go like, who? I think people would be like, who?
Yeah, okay. So what do you want to put him then?
I mean, I still think he goes in good, I think.
Bottom of good after Brad?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Talking about a one-game character, but I think one that has a ton more impact. Chief Irons. This is Chief Irons, one of the villainish characters of Resident Evil 2. Let's talk about the original version of Brian's first.
Yep.
So obviously he actually mainly pops up in the B-side story of it, particularly to do with Claire, specifically to do with Claire. And obviously you kind of get a lot more detail about the sort of like fact that he's a bad guy, but he never really comes across as a bad guy in the sense that it's an obvious thing. And you got the whole thing with the mayor's daughter and the that aspect. And of course he ends up getting killed by William Birkin. The remake would enhance that by proper putting him in a villain, where you play as Sherry in the orphanage, and there's even a side character, one of the side stories, we play as the mayor's daughter herself. And that aspect of things. I love how he was portrayed in the remake. But I also really like how he's portrayed in the original.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you mention Chief Irons, there's always one scene which brings my head. The scene where the daughter's in a white dress, lying on the table, and he's all upset. He's like, they're betrayed. He's talking about being betrayed and all that.
He's talking about how, like, her beauty, you know, and stuff like that. Like, because he's a taxidermist, he's stuck going, are you going to stuff this woman?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think the fact that, like, that's how we remember so much of his character from one game. And he's one that you want to get to see his comeuppance. You do want to see him get his comeuppance. So, yeah, I think this guy's great.
Yeah, great, yeah.
Above or below Barry?
I mean, for me, he stands up more than Barry.
Above, yeah. I'm going to go with it. We've not had really any of the major players yet, but here he is. Used in the picture from Resident Evil 5 when he's jacked. He's jacked. It is, of course, Chris Redfield. Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Resident Evil 7, Resident Evil Village, and a ton of side games. Resident Evil Code Veronica. He is probably up there as the character that has appeared the most across the Resident Evil franchise. A character that has gone through arguably the biggest evolution or changes to the point where Resident Evil 7 reset his character back to a more, like, Chris, like, his character in the Resident Evil 7 looks more in line with the Resident Evil remake character rather than the muscle-bound guy we've got in Resident Evil 5 and 6. Whereas the character of Chris in Resident Evil 8 is a lot older, a lot more haggard, a lot more time has passed. That aspect of things. But he's Chris. He's Chris Redfield. We've got to take out gameplay aspects, because I'll admit, when I think of Chris, I think laughing at Wesker in the original, you know, like the bad voice acting for Chris.
Of course.
I think of punching boulders in Resident Evil 5, you know. And this isn't fair to the character.
No.
But the character initially is too white meat for my liking. Too perfect. However, Resident Evil 6 did do something good that we all kind of forget about, I think. I think we forget that it added an element of him suffering from PTSD and having like lost troops and men and stuff like that. I remember how excited I was playing Resident Evil 6. One of the few things that I was really excited about was when he met Jake Mueller. And he's like, you look familiar. And it's like, whoa! What's he going to think when he realises this is Wesker's son and stuff like that? That was cool shit. I really like his part in Resident Evil Code Veronica.
Yep.
And I love his part, his cameo in Resident Evil 7 and his role in Resident Evil Village. Except for one aspect of Village, is that, mate, if you just started by telling Ethan what's going on, rather than being like, stay out of it, Ethan, it's like, yeah, but you just shot Ethan's wife. And you didn't, like, what do you expect? And also kidnapped his daughter. And then you're like, stay out of it, Ethan. What do you fucking expect them to do?
I mean, I actually preferred his playthrough too on the first one. You got Jill and Chris, because obviously Jill starts with a gun, and I think Chris starts with a knife.
Oh.
His playthrough's a lot harder. Yeah, and actually, I
don't know about that, because obviously he meets Rebecca. Oh, sorry!
Yeah, obviously.
He also can't play a piano.
True.
This is the best, right? Yeah. I think it's fair. I think there's no reason not to put him there, because he's been in most of the prominent games, is a strong character, one who's developed over time, and is still going to be a major player going forward. Yeah. And sticking with the Redfields, this time we have Claire, another major player of the series. First appearing in Resident Evil 2, then appearing in Code Veronica, would appear in Resident Evil... No, she's not in 6, is she? No, she's not in 6. Resident Evil Revelations 2? Fuck, what? Is that it?
That's it, yeah.
Obviously the Resident Evil 2 and 2 remake. Is that it for Claire? Oh no, she's also in Revelations 1. Sorry, I forgot there's the side story where there's half and half with Jill on the boat and is it Claire inside the building? Maybe misremembering which one's which. But, that it really? Maybe some side games, I guess, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's the major games she's in.
Okay. Well, we'll stick with that then. And it's this. She is part of 2 major important games. She is in Resident Evil 2 and she is in Resident Evil Code Veronica. Both are super, super duper important to the franchise. Both are excellent games. Claire's story in Resident Evil 2 is arguably stronger than Leon's because it attaches itself more. And in fact, I suspect, although I can't remember which one is officially canon, I suspect it's probably Claire's because Sherry.
Yeah.
Sherry has to live. So Claire's must be canon, right?
Yeah, it has to be, yeah.
So that, although then there is a part of Leon's where Sherry does live. He finds him on a train. It doesn't. I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah. But it always feels to me like Claire's is the more important one because it's way more based in the Birkin stuff than Leon's is. Leon's is more Ada based, but that's important too. But Claire's is more Birkin based.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is obviously quite important to the overall story. Obviously in Code Veronica, she is the main character. I know it switches to Chris for a bit, but it's all about fucking Claire.
Yeah, and Code Veronica is one of my favourite games.
It is one of the great games. It really, really is. Obviously, she's a major part, one of the playable characters of Revelations 2. I really like Claire. I really liked it. In fact, I remember when the remake came about, I was more interested in playing as Claire than I was Leon.
Yeah.
For me. So...
I mean, the major characters, there's only one out of major ones I don't think deserves to go in the best. But we'll get to that. But I think she has to go in the best.
Yeah, same. Bubba below Chris, though.
I think she's going, for me...
Below, come on. Do it by number of games.
Yeah, he gets more. He's a more starting. Yeah. Come on.
He's in the original starting franchise. This is a difficult one because ultimately we're going to deal with a character that is faceless and is almost supposed to be you. It's Ethan Winters from Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 8/Village. So Ethan is a difficult character because he doesn't have the same depth that the others do. But he is a character I found myself caring about. Playing as him in Resident Evil 7 and getting into the shoes of someone never seen in the franchise before was really exciting for me. I thought it was really fucking interesting. I got stoked by that aspect. But ultimately, it ended up raising more questions than answers because you're ultimately who is he and how he's related to it, and it's all really about the events that surround him. Obviously, Resident Evil Village would give him a bit more of a voice, where he talks a hell of a lot more. He's involved in a lot more of the sort of stuff that's going on and aspects like that. And of course, no, I'm not going to spoil this because Resident Evil Village is so new that it will actually be spoilers. Obviously, the events of Resident Evil Village. But I really like Ethan. What's your feelings on him of what you played?
Well, I mean, let's say I've literally only played the first 10 minutes of that village game.
Yep, so you've really got nothing to go on.
I mean, I will get to it eventually, but I mean, I can't judge this one.
Right, so it's down to me. I'm probably going to put him in... I'm leaning towards good, but I'm also looking at great. Above Ada, is that fair? No, that's not fair. Alright, good after Ada. Because ultimately he is quite faceless, you know? Oh God, who is this? I've forgotten her name. I've just got to check who this is. Helena. From Resident Evil 6. So Resident Evil 6, they buddy you up with different characters per person. Leon buddies up with Helena, who turns out to be involved with the assassination or the murder of the president. Not the murder, because he's a zombie at that point, which causes... So it's all about her sister.
Yep.
And her sister's kind of like the reoccurring boss throughout that series of events. That's it for Helena. That's it. She's all right. What else can you say? I've got nothing.
Resident Evil 6 is obviously a terrible game. And
Yeah.
I can't remember her at all, to be honest. So for me, she just doesn't stand out. For me, she has to go in the worst. But that's just because I don't remember her.
I'm going to do it. The fact that you don't remember, and that's all I can say about her as well. She's literally part of one story in Resident Evil 6 and then forgotten about completely. Yeah. I can't, like, the fact that I had to look up her name again to remind it speaks volumes about the memorability of that character. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is one you can't help with either. This is Resident Evil 7. This is Jack Baker, the patriarch of the Baker family. A very villainous character. He's the first one that introduces you. Welcome to the family, son, before he punches and knocks you out. And obviously, he's a major tormentor throughout the game. He's also probably the character that you'll feel the most sorriest for. The one that you'll develop, dare I say, a more bond with. Because as you learn more about the Baker family and how they're victims of the events that occurred and you move your way through it, you'll feel more for Jack. But he's also involved in some of the most spectacular moments. I mean, you know the game. Think of the bit in the garage in the car. I'll tell you this is slight spoilers. So, like, he'll get in the car and be ramming him. Boom. But he'll get in beside you, grab you, push your foot down in the wheel, and force you to drive straight forward towards his spikes. It's awesome. Oh, cool. Jack's basically almost indestructible to a certain degree. They all are bosses-wise in that.
Yep.
They're all quite memorable baddies from Resident Evil 7. But particularly if you... And I know it's a weird thing to say, but if you also play the DLC that deals with Zoe, and then Jack's brother, you get so much more depth about Jack. I find him really a really sad character. And I feel sorry for the Bakers overall. For me, because as well, obviously Jack is the one that follows you through the house, smashing through the walls, a la Nemesis, a la that kind of thing. I think Jack's one of the best, like, modern Resident Evil baddies, so to speak. I'm putting him in great. But I'm going to put him after Barry, because Barry's Barry. Okay, who we got now? Oh, yay! It's Jake Mueller. It's Jake. So he's the side character that plays alongside Sherry, a character that ended up hurting the franchise more than anything else. In their infinite wisdom, they went, oh, you know what we can do now, because Wesker's out of the game, in theory. Let's say he had a child, and this is his child. A bland, boring, I'm Jake Mueller, but I'm a tough guy, and I really don't care for anyone. But by the end of the game, I'll totally care for someone.
Yep.
Like, you've seen this a bazillion times before. He looks crap. He looks bland. He looks fucking bland. And because obviously Resident Evil 6 is such a massive flop, and then obviously not the restart of the franchise, but the new direction the franchise has taken, I don't think we're ever going to see this character again.
No. Again, it's another one of those where they realise, oh, we'll try this. It didn't work.
Yep.
Forget about it.
So, what do you reckon? Because for me, the worst. Yeah. The worst. Above Helena, though. Yeah. More memorable?
Yeah.
Okay, who's this? Oh, this is an odd picture I chose. James Marcus. So Resident Evil 0. So James Marcus is a name synonymous with Resident Evil. Yeah. Comes up a lot. It's quite important to do with the founding of Umbrella. However, what he looks like, you never really get any idea until you hit Resident Evil 0, where he go into the training facility. You also find that his body has been reconstructed to create the sort of slug creature villain. We also see what Marcus would look like, Marcus when he was younger and stuff like that. He's basically, I've chosen him not just because of the founder of Umbrella, but because he has a personification in that game.
Yeah.
And he's ultimately the end boss and all of that. I thought that was important enough to warrant this, right?
Yep.
But it ain't nothing special, is it? Nope.
I mean, Resident Evil 0 is an okay game.
Oh, it's a good game. Come on. It's a good game with flaws.
It's a good game with flaws.
Right, let's sidebar here. We did a Resident Evil game ranking. We both ranked it highly because we agreed that the parts that done good ease up weight. And don't forget that whole train segment at the start is great.
Well, he still goes in there for me, but above
Billy.
Billy, that's his name, Billy.
Yep, I'm in agreement. I'm literally in agreement. I see no reason not to agree. We're going to the big ones again. It is, of course, the star of Resident Evil herself, Jill Valentine. Likely the very first character most people played as in Resident Evil. Because ultimately, I'm pretty sure I'm right here, but doesn't the switch between the ID cards start on Jill?
It does.
So if you just press A, you start as Jill Valentine, which people may have done immediately.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because I imagine people would just flip between them and then go, oh, I want to play as a dude, I'll play as Chris or whatever. But for me, it was Jill. So we have Jill Valentine. You're laughing because I feel like you have controversy for this one.
This is the one I was on about.
Right, so let's go through her games. Jill Valentine, Resident Evil 1. Resident Evil Nemesis, the main star, doesn't say a story with anybody. Resident Evil Revelations, major star of that, the main star of that game, amazing. Resident Evil 5, where she is a villain in a uniquely different role, which you can take or leave. Where else? Where else does Jill pop up? Fuck, is that it? Where am I forgetting? That's it. Holy shit, why did I feel like it was more?
Not in 2, not in 4, not in 6.
No, she's not in 6, not in 7, not in 8. Village? Where? Oh, wow, I thought it was more. Wow.
I think it's because I'm watching the films too, and I
because she's obviously, of course. So Jill. Now, the natural response for me is, of course she goes in the best. She is Jill Valentine, but you obviously have a problem with this, so please explain.
I love number 3.
Yep.
You know, it's basically her own game, really. You know, but I just her character-wise, I don't like her character.
Right.
You know, I mean, again, I'm because I've read the books. I keep trying to deteriorate to the books because obviously the books are going more into detail about her character, about how obviously her father was a thief and blah 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 blah.
Oh, forgot all that bollocks.
I know. I keep trying to reference to that, but I don't know. I just don't particularly like her character. Obviously, the acting in the first one is terrible. You know,
obviously,
Oh, I could go down here using a rope, blah blah blah. You know, all the stupid stuff like that.
Does Resident Evil 3 and the Resident Evil 3 remake 3 not rehabilitate her to some degree? In Resident Evil 3 remake, she's excellent.
It does. It rehabilitates me from good to great.
Interesting. That's an interesting thing.
I mean, for me, in the best is easily 4 or 5 better characters.
I'm going to agree. I'm gonna be happy to do it because Jill's not in as many games as. And here's the thing, while Revelations, I really like Revelations, and you can't talk about it because I can. Revelations, oh my god, just for the record, I just realised something. We can play Revelations co-op.
Okay.
And it's available on Xbox One as a HD version.
Cool.
So that'd be cool, that'd be a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, excellent.
Resident Evil Revelations, ultimately, Revelations' story is not its strong point. It's its gameplay aspect, location, and difference in visual and aesthetics that does it for me. When I think of Jill from that game, I don't think, oh my god, the story's so great. So I'm happy enough to put her in great, but top of great by violence.
Yeah. She misses out her best by literally a few points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, this one is in here mainly because of the internet and how they behaved over this character. You haven't played this game, but you're going to know this one. It's one of the bosses, the sort of major boss of Resident Evil 8, Village. Lady Dimitrescu. I can't say her name properly. So this is the big booty vampire lady, whatever you want to call her, although that's not actually what she is at all. But basically, this is where, for me, I'm going to be controversial here. I remembered when this character first appeared and how Capcom promoted her and stuff like that, and went, oh yeah, gamers are fucking sad cunts. Putting it as bluntly as that as well, as everyone got super thirsty over a video game character. And it was just like, don't be weird, man. Yeah. Don't be fucking weird. But I also really didn't like the way Capcom promoted it.
Yeah.
They did that on purpose, and it kind of felt like regression. Mm-hmm. And I know, like, you'd be like, I'm taking it too serious and all that, but like when you spent months going through article or seeing article after article about it, almost started to put me off the game. Yeah. Now, thankfully, Lady Dimitrescu is a major part of a section of the game. Yeah. In fact, she's the first boss. and not the best one at all, by far. Her location is great. I like her voice. I like the way she behaves. I particularly like a lot of aspects of her character. She is really interesting, but she's not the best by far.
Well, I mean, I can't judge her obviously on gameplay wise, but obviously I've heard of her. I've heard
Of course, you know what she looks like, right? Yeah, do you know what I mean?
That, yeah.
Massively tall.
Yeah.
But like elements that I really like is like, you know, ultimately she's very much like the Mr. X and Nemesis as she pursues you, but so does her daughters. You kind of forget that she's got 3 young daughters that pursue you through the castle as well. I like when she basically cuts Ethan's arm off. That made me laugh. But I also don't mind like the boss battle with the big monster she turns into. That's so Resident Evil 5 and 6.
Yep.
That's not so interesting. So for me, she's good, but I'm going to put her after Ethan. Above, no. I'm going to put the end of good. After Carlos.
Yep.
Okay, who we got here? All right. The big one. It's Leon. Of course, a superstar of the Resident Evil franchise. We are talking Resident Evil 2, where he makes his introduction. Resident Evil 4, where he is the main star of that game. Resident Evil 6, where he also hangs around as well. Resident Evil 2 remake, side stories probably.
Must be, yeah.
But like that's basically, of the major franchises, Leon has been involved in some of the most important games.
Yep.
Like Claire. Resident Evil 2 is super fucking important, where he admittedly is a little bit too white knight for my liking at times.
Yep.
You know, constantly, you're a girl, you know, you stay here, I'm here to protect you.
Yep.
And it's like,
He takes his job as a police officer way too seriously.
Yeah, but then also you could argue it's because he's a rookie,
Yep.
and that comes into it. Whereas Resident Evil 4, he's a lot more hardened, and arguably I would say Resident Evil 4 is his crowning glory.
Oh yeah, easily, yeah.
Absolutely. In fact, Resident Evil 4 alone puts him in the best for me.
Best, and for me, I prefer him to Chris.
Yes, same here.
Easily top.
I think he developed like a long stuff as well. Admittedly, he does need to he's going to need a new game or new reference point soon, I think. Because Chris ultimately is the one that's been given the more development now because of Resident Evil Village. In fact, shit, we're going to have a dispute here. He can't go above Chris because of that. Because Chris has continued into the new franchise. Leon hasn't. Chris is a major part of Village. Chris is in that story from beginning to very end. In fact, at the end of Village, who do you play as? Chris. Leon is nowhere to be seen in 7 or 8.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah.
So after Chris.
Above Claire, yeah.
Yeah, above Claire. I mean, to be fair, he's on the same level as Claire.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, they're pretty much in the same amount of games. But then she's got Code Veronica. But he's got 4. Yeah, okay.
4 is better than Code Veronica,
Yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. An interesting one, Lisa Trevor. Chosen because ultimately an inclusion that was very important to change and mix up the Resident Evil remake.
Yeah.
So in the game she appears in, and ultimately she's a sad character. Not really a villain, not really a good guy, just one. And the detail that you read as you make your way through that game and her dealings with you. First off, she made the remake extra scary.
Yeah.
Her howls, her moans, her behaviour is very, very uncomfortable. It really is. Her ending is very, very sad. All of it about it is just a sad story.
Doesn't she make an appearance? Not an appearance, sorry, in the original, but you read about her.
Where?
In documents. Am I wrong? Oh, is it? No.
Which game would it be?
No, I think of Resident Evil 1 where you read about a scientist who he's infected, but he doesn't realize he's infected. And then he starts getting itching. And
oh, right, itchy tasty, yeah. So for me...
Itchy tasty,
yeah. So, I mean, it's only the Resident Evil remake. Yeah. Ultimately, she's out of the games at that point, obviously. But it is an impactful point because particularly, you've got to think back to when you first played the remake. And like if you're like us, you would play the originals to death. And you were intrigued, amazed by how visually different it was. And you're like, oh my God, no, they've also added new areas.
Yeah.
And then, wait, what the fuck is this? Thing would change. And the look of her, with the bag and the faces.
Yeah.
It's just, it's impactful as fuck.
I mean, it's impactful work. It doesn't come in the top 2.
No, it can't.
For me, it's good, but
end of good.
Yeah,
end of good after the lady from the vampire lady from. After her. Because when you play Village fully, you'll understand why it is there. Absolutely. Who we got now? Oh right, Luis, a character you probably completely forgotten about from Resident Evil 4. He's the Spanish guy. The one who's locked in a cupboard and then handcuffed behind Leon. kind of helps out here and there throughout the game. Doesn't really have much of a story. Dies.
Yeah, pointless.
Like, no, yeah, that's it. Meh?
Yeah, yeah.
Meh after Billy? Because Billy's a playable character? Billy's a playable character.
Yeah, he's got to be, yeah. Got to be fair, can't be that mean to Billy.
No, yeah, absolutely. Okay, Marvin. I've added Marvin purely because of his important role in a very small portion of the game.
Who was Marvin?
Marvin is the cop from Resident Evil 2. Resident Evil 2 that you first meet that introduces Leon, gives you the key, and is the very first time you see a person transform into a zombie in real time in the original. Marvin will have a bigger role in the remake, where with better dialogue and more dark, like sort of sadder story. Now I get it, he's not a big part of the game and stuff like that, but because of his impact and the fact that he becomes a zombie in Resident Evil 2, that music and like him standing up, it's like, oh my god, this actually happened.
Yes, it is. I mean, is it the first? He's the first recon, yeah.
Well, he's the first person you meet in the police station when you arrive there. You go through the door and he's all hurt. Yeah. Then obviously he kicks you out and pointing the gun slightly off centre from where you're aiming. You go all the way round back into it, and when you get back to him, he becomes a zombie. In the remake, he's sitting in the main hall, and he helps you out from there up into the point where he sends you away. Okay, yeah. And it's only when you come back later, if you come back to the police station, you'll find him then as a zombie. Yeah. So, yeah. Impactful, but ultimately can't go any higher than good. And I want to put him in good because of the remake and how he's done in the remake. Yeah. But obviously the end of good after this, Trevor. Yeah. Unfortunately, this is one you will not be able to do. Mia from Resident Evil 7, the wife of Ethan Winters. The whole reason why Ethan goes to Louisiana is to find his missing wife. She's been missing for some time. He receives a letter saying that she's here. So he goes to find her. Ultimately, Mia's introduction is one of the most spectacular moments in Resident Evil 7. Do I spoil it? Just say it is fucking terrifying. It's Resident Evil 7 announcing itself, because it's a very scary, creepy game up to that point, and then Mia's reintroduction and what happens makes you go, oh my god. And it's generally horrifying. Like, you really need to play Resident Evil 7. It's excellent.
I mean, it used to be a Game Pass, then they took it off it. But I will get there eventually.
Yeah, because you can't play Village without playing 7. They're too tied into each other. But yeah, Mia, and obviously as a character throughout the game, it's hard to include... I don't want to do spoilers, but it's hard to include Mia in Resident Evil Village, even though she is a part of the game. But in this, she is also a major part of the end of the game. Mia's really important. But ultimately there's an argument to suggest that her character is just Ethan's wife. You know, what impact does she have on the... Oh, my God, I've forgotten. No, she has such an impact when you play as her near the end of Resident Evil 7 and you go back in time to when she was on the boat. That's not spoilers, but, you know, there's something involving a big old ship and stuff like that. And, of course, her role in the creation of the thing in Resident Evil 7. It's so hard to talk about without spoiling this shit. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to put her in good alongside Ethan. I think that's fair. But because you play as Ethan, for the most part, she goes after. Okay, unfortunately, again, another one. Sorry.
No.
Mother Miranda, the major overarching villain of Resident Evil Village. And I'm going to be truth be told, she's not that interesting. She is a cool end boss, a very tough end boss, but ultimately she's the puppet master of the puppets of the 4 lords underneath her. And she's the one that's been controlling. What I like about Mother Miranda, and unfortunately I'm going to have to do spoilers here to a degree, Mother Miranda harks all the way back to the original game. As will be learned at the end of Village, Mother Miranda has links to the creator of Umbrella, which Resident Evil Village will reveal to you. Mother Miranda is the reason why Umbrella's symbol is the reason why Umbrella's symbol is the case. That there alone is super fucking important.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
But as a character... I remember other bosses. I remember the Lords more than her. I remember fucking... What's the one in the haunted house? The scariest part of Resident Evil Village where you've got no weapons and you've got that giant slug baby chasing you through the rooms. It is terrifying. Check some videos out. It's fucking horrible. But it's I'm going to put her in meh. I'm going to put her meh above at the top of meh. Alright, we're back with ones you do know. It is Rebecca Chambers. Rebecca Chambers, obviously, first appearance as a character in Resident Evil the original. A very annoying character, not one to like at all.
Yep.
She can be saved. She can be saved in Chris's story, but if you do Jill's story, Rebecca's never seen again.
Yep.
Unless you play Resident Evil 0.
Yeah, see, Rebecca's story is always... I think we discussed this before. It's very confusing. Because I've seen in Resident Evil 1,
Yep.
she's a rookie, a newbie. But then 0 is before 1.
Yes.
She obviously couldn't have been.
Yes, we talked about this as well
confusing.
when we talked about the game one, as Resident Evil 0 ended up opening plot holes. They tried to tie them up by suggesting she never talked about the incident in the facility before going to the mansion because she was trying to protect Billy. But that doesn't make any sense. You just leave Billy out.
Yeah.
You just leave Billy out. So it was a problem. It was a problem. But I can't remember. Does Rebecca? I can't remember. Does Rebecca appear in any of the Revelations games? I feel like she might appear in Resident Evil Revelations 2.
I mean, she's brilliant. She's brilliant in that book, Cabin Cove. I don't know. But, no, I mean,
What else is she in? Is that it? That's it, isn't it?
She's a very annoying character, forgetful. For me, it's not the worst because she's a playable character.
Meh.
She goes a meh. Probably. I don't know. The top, probably.
Now let's put him at bottom of good, yeah? No, she's playable. Should she go above Marvin? Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa Trevor?
Yeah. Well, she's playable, isn't she?
Yeah, Lady Dimitri above her. Carlos there, after Carlos.
Yeah.
Because at least you now play as Carlos. You play as Carlos in both, actually, in Resident Evil 3 original and the remake. Okay, there's a couple more. Sadler, who is the main villain of Resident Evil 4. He's the overarching boss that you fight at the very end of the game. The Lord, I don't know, he walks around in a cloak and stuff like that. He exudes power throughout the game. But he's not the most memorable one from Resident Evil 4, is he?
No.
No, we'll get into the who actually is the most memorable one. But it is a very cool end boss fight on that thing with the legs and the eye. I actually really like the end boss. I think it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But he is that. He's the villain of the game. He has ties into the sort of like start of Protogena and stuff like that. So I'm probably going to lean towards good with him again.
Yeah.
Above or below Marvin? Above.
Above, yeah.
I don't think he goes above Lisa Trevor though.
No.
I think after Lisa Trevor for impact.
He's not my favourite boss in that game.
No, he's not. Sherry Birkin, first making her appearance in Resident Evil 2 as a young child, where you momentarily play as her in a very awkward, annoying segment of that game, probably one of the worst segments of Resident Evil 2, and of course a major player of Resident Evil 6, where you play as her alongside Jake Mueller, where they then decided to make her sexy, have her and Jake fall in love, and made you go, oh, really? We really doing this, guys? Sherry is a very important character to the franchise. Super important because of her role in Resident Evil 2. However, that's it. Found her annoying as a kid. Never really found her endearing. Never really cared about her. And Resident Evil 6's flaws speak for themselves.
Yeah. For me, she goes in the worst.
Ooh.
Top of the worst. Just because I mean, character-wise, pointless. I mean, she.
All right.
Big part of the story. I mean, really, I don't know how really, because I mean, because her parents are Annette and William Birkin.
Yeah.
You know, other than that, what is she? She's a little kid that was. I mean,
well, obviously Resident Evil 6 would play around with the idea that obviously, all right, the worst. You know what? We'll put her at the top of the worst above Jake though. Yeah.
Unfortunately, any character who appears in Resident Evil 6, you're going in the worst. Because the game was so crap.
Well, we put Chris in the best.
No,
side characters.
They get a free pass because of previous.
No, I get it. No, I'm down with it because ultimately I don't like her as a kid either. Here might be a controversial one. We might dispute this one at Sheva. Appearing in one Resident Evil game only as the extra character to play alongside Chris Redfield. I said at the very start of this, we're not judging this on gameplay, because ultimately, if you play this game with the AI, you'll hate Sheva.
Yep.
You'll wish her dead. You'll wish you were doing it alone, because the AI is so bad, it makes working with Sheva a nightmare. But I think Capcom done her dirty. I think they've done her dirty, and it's a shame she's not reappeared. I think they were like, okay, we want a strong woman, but we also want someone with heritage from the country we're focusing on, and that element and stuff like that. That's brilliant. That's really, really clever. And she fitted alongside Chris. I really, really liked her look. I liked a lot of the elements and stuff like that, but then they did stupid shit. But they're like, okay, well, her alternative costume will be super sexy, and you're like, oh, you haven't learned anything then, really, have you? And normally they never brought her back, And that's the end of Trevor.
Yeah.
But also, by fucking up our AI, like I said, you end up making us hate. And we're not supposed to judge it on that. We're supposed to judge it on characters alone. Tell me anything about Trevor's character.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Said there's no background story. I don't think.
BSSA, that's it.
Yeah.
And which is a fucking real shame, as they really could have worked harder with her.
I mean, I could easily stick her in the worst, but I'm gonna base it on the fact that when I play co-op, and one plays Chris, one plays Trevor, so I'll base it on that. And in co-op, it's really good.
Yep.
Really good. The AI is terrible, so I won't stick her in worse. For me, she goes a meh.
Yeah, I agree. She goes above Lewis. I think we'll agree on that.
Yeah.
Above Billy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's more interesting than Billy.
Yep.
Above Marcus.
Yeah. I've got that.
But below Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
Mother Miranda's too important now to the franchise. Do you remember Simmons?
Sounds familiar.
So Resident Evil 6, he is the boss character of Leon's story. The one that keeps transforming the things and basically transforms into a Protogena style T-Rex. Yeah. In probably Resident Evil 6's crowning glory moment of shitness, dumbness, and just... Have you seen the video of the guy singing the Jurassic Park theme over it?
No,
oh
really.
my god, it's fucking... It's so fucking hilarious.
I'll have to watch that.
It's so fucking bad. It's a fucking dinosaur. You know, it's so fucking stupid. Honestly, man, so dumb. They tried to make this guy into a super villain. Remember the bit where he dies and he lands on the spike and the blood spreads to imply Umbrella and all that? The train bit, oh, good God, this character fucking sucks.
It's Resident Evil 6 and
he's the worst.
Yeah, easy.
I'm going to put him... Don't know, man. Turning into a fucking dinosaur has to put him quite above Helena.
Yeah.
But after Jake, because ultimately Jake is Wesker.
Yeah, he's Wesker's son, so yeah.
Absolutely. Steve from Resident Evil Code Veronica. One of arguably the most annoying characters alongside Sherry, but also one of the characters involved in, for me, one of the saddest deaths in all of Resident Evil. Spoiler, Code Veronica. Come as Code Veronica, guys. Keep up. Yeah. However, I think that... Does that outweigh what is a character who's so fucking annoying? I always remember almost laughing at the part where he's crying and shooting his daddy. Daddy's gone! And, you know... Yeah. But then, the fact that they kill him shocked me.
Yeah, I mean, Code Veronica is a brilliant game. Terrible character. Sad ending.
Shit, that makes it really hard, doesn't it?
So it has like two positives and one negative. But
that negative is quite a strong one.
It is a strong one. I mean, it goes in good for me. But...
Okay, right, good.
I don't know whereabouts though, because
we've got a lot on good. Well, let's start from the top, work our way backwards. Ada stays top.
Yeah.
Ethan stays top. Major character of 7 and 8. Mia... stays there. Brad. Steve or Brad?
I'll stick him around then. But
before, after Brad, and then Carlos.
Does he go behind Carlos though? Because is he more of a important character than Carlos?
Well, he is if we don't include the remake. But we have to now include the remake. Yeah. So Carlos there.
Behind Carlos then?
No, Rebecca.
Oh, no, behind Rebecca then.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, ahead of Lady, the Mistress. Whatever her name is. I can't say her name. People say it so easily. Right. I think we're almost done. Yep, we've got 3 left, and they are 3 major players.
Oh, I can see it, yeah.
It's a double. It is the Ashford Twins. I put them together for obvious reasons if you play Code Veronica. But fuck me, are these creepy little bastards.
Yes, I think it's one of the most cleverest stories.
Yeah, it really is. But also, like, the obnoxious way, for example, that... they act and the way they behave in the game and how they sound and speak fits the characters to a T.
Yeah.
They're rich. They're fucking rich, obnoxious shits who have never been told no, behave in a certain way, but also super evil, super twisted, super fucked up.
Yep.
They're so fucking memorable.
For me, they go in the best.
Oh.
You don't think so?
I mean, you can really put them above Jill and She Finds.
Oh.
And Barry.
I just think that if anyone, I mean,
alright, as villains go, they're some of the most memorable.
And the picture there, original fans will know that picture.
Yeah, Welcome to Raccoon City, the movie that came out a few months ago, used it as well.
Yeah,
okay.
And I remember in the cinema, I saw you look at me, and we knew straight away.
Yeah, I rolled my eyes because I couldn't believe they jammed it in. Bottom of the best though.
Yeah.
Not ahead of the rest, because at the moment Chris is winning. He's top. but he might be knocked off the perch here. It's Wesker. It is Wesker, the biggest bad of all Resident Evil to date. First appearing in Resident Evil, where he is a very super important character. Reappearing then in Code Veronica, where we first got an indication of him basically surviving Resident Evil by injecting himself with the T virus. Of course, he would then make his exit in Resident Evil 5 as the major villain in there. Resident Evil 5's Wesker is so important, so impactful, that the entire film franchise around Milla Jovovich, barring the first few films, would use that version of him. That version. You think Resident Evil, you think Wesker as much as you do the good guys as well. He's always fun, he's always interesting. I really like his development I like the fact that he's just a bad guy in Resident Evil who's got villainous plans to this super megalomaniac psychopath, super villain in Resident Evil 5. He's one of the highlight. I don't care if you fight in a volcano. It's funny. It's funny.
It is
you
funny.
know? I love the fact that people tore themselves into shreds saying he might survive Resident Evil 5 because the rocket launcher didn't actually hit him.
If he survived that, then they best come out with
It doesn't matter anymore because obviously 7 and 8 have taken the franchise in a new direction completely. Wesker, the best. Top.
Yeah, easy.
For me, top.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of those like bloody like Sephiroth, and I like.
Yeah,
he's a bad guy who stands out. You know.
Yeah, he's Sephiroth, exactly that. Which brings us to the end, and arguably one of the most important characters that you never play as, but one of the most important characters due to his creation of the G virus and the experiments he did on it. It is William Birkin. First appearing in only appearing in Resident Evil 2, should we say? Although he does also make appearance in some side games like Operation Raccoon City and shit like that as a bad guy. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil Remake. He's the scientist who created the G-Virus that was betrayed. Oh, sorry! He appears in Resident Evil 0. He does in the cutscenes with Wesker as they're setting up the events of Resident Evil through cutscenes. Of course, he didn't want to give up his work to Umbrella, so they sent a lot of soldiers to kill him, where he, after being shot, he injects himself, transforms, and then spends the game causing a lot of... He's basically the boss constantly throughout the game, aside for the B stories where you would fight Mr. X as the super Mr. X. But yeah, from his transformations throughout the game to the very sad story of his life. And the fact that ultimately his connection with his daughter means he keeps trying to track her. He's super fucking important.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm going to say great.
Yeah, I mean...
If I put Jack Baker in great, Birkin has to go above.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. Obviously, you don't play as obviously, but he's a good character. Obviously, you know, he's... The horror elements there, you know, obviously you're walking, you can hear the banging.
Yeah.
He's screaming Sherry. It's pretty. I mean, shit, dad.
Yeah, he's not a great dad. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, and he's the creator. Without him, there's no G-Virus.
Yeah, exactly that. Okay, so Jack Baker he goes above Jack Baker. Does he go above Barry?
No, I can't go above Baker.
There we go then.
Yeah.
But then, like, should Chief Irons be above William Birkin? Do you think we move Chief Irons down?
Yeah.
Move Chief Irons down behind Birkin.
Behind Birkin, yeah.
No, I'm going to put him last, so I'm going to have to do it again because I think Jack's more important, impactful than Chief Irons. Right, let's have a quick look then and see if we want to make any other changes. We don't normally do this, but I feel like we put them all in places. So the best, we agree, Wesker top, Chris, Leon, Claire, the Ashford Twins. Okay, so we're happy with all them in great. Does Jill stay in the best? Does Jill stay in great or does she move up to the best?
I think she moves to the best.
But
at the
end...
I think I was being a bit harsh.
Not the top. At the end, or above the Ashford Twins.
Above the Ashford Twins. I think I was being a bit harsh there.
Yeah, so basically we're putting the major players of the franchise at the top. But I think after Claire is fair.
Yeah.
That leaves Barry. Yeah, happy and great.
Yeah.
Yep, same. Birkin and great. Jack Baker and Chief Irons. Now this is where I think we might need some changes.
Yeah.
We put Ada in good. Should she not be in great?
I mean, if Barry's in great, then
Ada has to be.
Their stories are sort of similar.
So she has to go high.
I think probably maybe even above Barry, maybe. Do you think?
Yeah, she's in more games.
Exactly,
Oh, but no, mind you, one of her games is Resident Evil 6.
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh yeah.
And she never really is a playable character. She's not a playable character in Resident Evil 2, but either is Barry, really. But he
has a more bigger impact with his story, though.
But she's in number 4.
Oh.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah.
Oh, let's put a top.
Yeah, because number 4 alone, so...
Yep, that's it, isn't it? Right, so we still got Ethan Winters in good. He stays. I'm happy with that. Mia's fine in good. Brad's fine and good.
Yeah.
Carlos, is he too low? Should he? Oh no! Because you play as Ethan. Carlos should be above Brad.
Yeah, that's one thing because he's more.
Yeah, and you play as him in the remake
yeah.
and the original, should I say as well. But Mia and Ethan could stay where they are because you do play as Mia as well.
Should Rebecca be above Brad?
Rebecca should be higher.
Yeah, and then Steve too probably because again he plays him.
All right, let's move Steve up another bit. We're making some big changes.
Sorry, Brad.
I'm going to put Brad lower than Lady as well. He's moving down. Brad or Lisa Trevor? No, I'll leave it there, innit? Yeah, I'm happy with that. Sadler stays there. Marvin stays there. So our mayor is Miranda. Sheva feels harsh for Sheva, doesn't it? No, we'll keep it, right? Marcus, Billy, Lewis. Is Marcus too high? Should he be below Billy? You play as Billy.
I think we're being very harsh on Billy because of his character. But
Which is how we're ranking it, though. Let's move Billy up one. He's not good above Sheva.
No.
Because their characters are the same.
Yeah.
Lewis, Marcus. Tell me anything about Lewis that would make us change. Anything. No, there you go.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
And just a last check, the worst. Are we really keeping Sherry in the worst?
I'm being very harsh because of the annoyance of number 2. I mean, she obviously improves number 6, but obviously...
Now let's leave her. We don't like her character. We don't like her character.
Yeah.
Jake stays there. Don't like his character. Simmons and Helena.
Yeah.
There we go. I don't see anything wrong with this ranking. There you go. We're happy with that. I think the best is the best. There is some dispute, though, certainly. In fact, we've made so many changes already. But that's kind of the point.
Yep.
What do you think? You know what to do? Let us know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. You can check us out on gbhbl.com as well as on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Tumblr. Go to Patreon and help us out over there. That's patreon.com/gbhbl as well as Big Cartel where you can find some of our merchandise. We have a podcast running on SoundCloud and Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you like this video, do us a favour, hit the subscribe button and help the channel grow. Games, horror and heavy metal. What else is life for?